Okay, so one of the big questions that we had was, how much do we weigh? How do we know how much we weigh? How can we figure that out? Does it really matter? Is it a big deal? You know, all sort of things weight related. We really had no idea how much weight we were carrying with us. That is something, you know, that you do need to know. So like going on to ferries and stuff, sometimes they'll ask you how much you weigh and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we wanted to get weighed before we went on the Galveston ferry. Unfortunately, coming up the Texas coast, there is like nothing. There were really small gas stations, really dicey gas stations, but we didn't run into any really big truck stops or anything like that, so we didn't have the opportunity to get weighed before we hit the ferry. And luckily, the Galveston ferry didn't ask how much we weighed. They didn't particularly care. It wasn't a big deal, but we did want to know for the future. So we decided we were going to get weighed. So we got to Orange, Texas, and decided that one, we were going to stay the night there, and then two, they had a cat scale, so we were going to go ahead and do it and get weighed and see exactly how much the bus weighs. So I thought I would go ahead and do a basic rundown on the procedure for getting weighed. So this is specific to cat scales. This is the only scale that we have any experience with. They're really widely available, so you can find them at Flying J's, Love's, Pilot's, truck stops in general. They're really easily available in a lot of different places. So, you know, in terms of ease of access, cat scales are definitely the most numerous. This is not for the like side of the highway DOT weigh stations. Not at all applicable for that. I don't even think we could get weighed there if we wanted to. I am not actually really sure what would happen if we like rolled up in the bus like, hey guys, can we get weighed? You know, to the Department of Transportation. So I don't know how that would go. But anyway, so this is specific for cat scales. So we decided we were going to get weighed. And, you know, it's a little bit intimidating going into that situation if you've never done it before, because you're surrounded by all of these professional truckers, and we had no idea what we were doing, you know, because we had never done it before. And so it was a little intimidating, but actually super, super easy once we got up there. So basically, step number one is find a scale. Like I said, they're all over the place, pretty easy, not a big deal. Step two is drive onto the scale. This is super hard, I know. So I think it's standard to have 3 plates. You might be able to find a 4-plate weigh scale, but 3 is a fairly standard quantity. So anyway, the plates are huge. They're really about the length of a standard car. They are quite massive, and those scales take up pretty much the entire length of the weigh station itself. So, and they're pretty clearly marked. Like when you get up to it, you can really see where the first plate is, where the second plate is, and where the third plate is. So you want to drive on up and line your front window up with the call box that's sitting up there, and then get out and double check just to make sure that your front axle is on the front plate, that your rear axle is on the second plate, and if you're towing anything, that it's on the third plate. Now, if you want to be a real big stickler for weight, you can disconnect the trailer to make sure that you don't get a wonky reading between your rear axle and whatever it is that you're towing. Because it will affect the weight somewhat, but I don't think it'll be a gigantic quantity, so personal preference on that. We weren't towing, so it wasn't something that we had to worry about. So anyway, you get out, double check, make sure that all of your axles are on separate plates, and then walk on around and get back to that call box. Now the call box is situated for truckers, for semi-trucks and really, really, really big vehicles, and school buses are short comparatively, so we couldn't reach it coming out of our front window right here. We actually had to get out and walk around and then kind of jump to get to it, so it's way up there, which is just something to be, you know, mindful of. If you're super, super short, you may need a step stool. So anyway, get up to it, you hit the call button, and a voice will come back over asking what your location is. And the location is stated right next to the call button. It'll say location, and then it's usually like a 4-number code. And so you'll just repeat back that 4-number code to the voice and wait. that's pretty much it. Like, you're done. And then eventually the voice will come back, say that you're all good, you're set, you can go pick up your weight, and then you drive off and go park somewhere else. You don't want to stay on the scale because they tend to get real aggravated real fast if you hang out on the scales or if you park on the scales, because so many people need to use them. And so I don't remember where we were. We were at a truck stop somewhere, and it was really, really busy, and there was no parking, and so a few people parked like on the scale or blocking the scale, and they got real shitty real fast. It was not not a good place to be, definitely. You don't want to park on the scale. So get off the scale, park somewhere, and then go inside wherever it is that you have gotten weighed. And when you get there, you know, like, hey, I just got weighed, I need to pick it up. They will, for us, they asked to double check if we had a trailer since that weight came out as 0, but we didn't, so that was totally accurate. And then they'll print up the whole sheet for you, and you pay for it. We paid $12 to get weighed. Not bad at all. And yeah, you're pretty much good at that point. They'll give you the paper with your weight, and it breaks it down by axle, and then it gives you a gross weight at the bottom. And that's pretty much that. Like, you are good and set and ready to go. So we knew our gross weight, like the amount that the chassis can potentially hold, is like 27,000 pounds or something like that. And we're nowhere close to the maximum weight for our bus and our chassis, which is awesome. But now we know that definitively. And we know where, like, obviously we have more weight on the rear axle than we do on the front axle, because that's where a hunk of our living stuff is. And the front axle is, you know, mechanics in the seat, really. Like, there's comparatively, there's not a whole lot here. So we are definitely rear axle heavy, which I think is to be expected. So anyway, in the end, it's really not that hard, but it is good information to have on hand and to know about your own vehicle. So we have our very own little piece of paper. So let's see, our steer axle is 7,140 pounds, and our drive axle is 12,400 pounds. So our total gross weight is 19,540 pounds, which is pretty cool. So we're just under 20,000 pounds. That is pretty much that. I hope it was interesting and informative. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff from us. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.